wow, just when I thought this series couldn't get any worse, it somehow got worse. I give last episode a 1 out of 10. This episode is definitely a 0 out of 10. So without further ado, let's get started. So the episode starts off with Chief trying to stop one of his friends in the Spartan program from leaving because his friend tries to escape in the middle of the night. And I actually like this scene, surprisingly. I know, I thought it was done really well, and it's actually very interesting to me. Of course, what I didn't like was that Chief had his helmet off, and you better get used to it because he had his helmet off the entire episode. So that was the only good point of the episode, pretty much. I kind of like that. Then we switch to this cringe, awkward, terribly acted out scene of Master Chief with his helmet off, by the way, and Quan-An. They're just in a spaceship talking, and it's just whatever they're trying to push, I'm not buying it. Like whatever they're selling, I'm not buying. I don't like the scenes between those two. It feels very forced, very contrived, and I just cringe. Like, why is Chief doing all this for some random little girl he just met? I just don't get it. And they're trying to make Chief this emotional, relatable, empathetic figure. I'm like, dog, just put his helmet on and have him go fight aliens. It's not that difficult. Like, we don't need this soap opera. We don't need this drama. And then we go back to Chief and Quan. They get to the planet and they meet his same friend who he let escape that many years ago. And then there's this awkward, very cringy meetup and exchange between the two. And then Chief not only removes his helmet, he removes his entire armor. And he's just sitting there without his armor on, without his helmet on, playing family with him and his friend, his wife, and their son. And I'm like, this isn't even Halo anymore. Like, honestly, if you take out the character names, right, you would not know that this is Halo. And then we get to the emo goth girl with the buzz cut, and she's just talking to the prophets, and they're having a spat back and forth. I absolutely hate this. Why do they have a human on their side? And like, why is she not like a prisoner at the very least? Like, why does she have so much clout that she could just run on with them back and forth and talk to them however, and they just take it? It's just so bad. So we go forward, and all the heads of the UNSC are having a discussion at the round table about what next steps to take. Very boring. Don't really care. Yawn. This was terribly acted out too, by the way. Like, it literally felt like everybody was like they were just waiting on each other before they said their lines. It was just so bad. I don't know why they keep focusing on that. I don't like Miranda Keyes. She's becoming more unlikable by the episode. She's very goofy, very naive. Like, she comes across as very, I'm gonna just say it straight, she comes across very stupid. I don't like that because in the game she was more like a badass. She was very confident, you know, like she was in this. And here she's like, she comes across as like the clueless intern, like, you know, like, I don't like how they've butchered her character. Oh, then we get to one of the worst scenes of the entire episode. Master Chief shows this crackhead a relic, and he starts to show this crackhead the relic because apparently this guy spent time with the Covenant. So he had prior knowledge about relics or whatever, right? So anyways, Master Chief ends up touching the relic and activating it right in front of the crackhead. I think his name was Reth. So right in front of Reth, right? And so Reth starts spazzing out and is like, oh, you're just like the other one the Covenant has, the chosen one or whatever, right? And then Master Chief freaks out. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I was like, what is this? Master Chief is always cool, calm, collected, matter of fact. When do we ever see him show this much emotion? And the thing is, I have a big problem, right? Like, is this Batman? Like, did the guy playing this, like, did they think they was doing Batman or something? Tell me where the Joker is now. Like, what is this? Seriously, what is this? Like, he literally gripped his shirt, slammed him up against the bars. What are you talking about? Who are you talking about? What do you mean? I was like, what is this? They completely butchered Master Chief. And what I really didn't like too, he was making all these different faces and having all these different emotions. I'm like, having to see his face for everything, whether he's happy, sad, or whatever. Put the helmet on, please. Like, I just cringe. This does not feel like Halo. Like, here's the thing. If they took Halo off the title, I might actually give this show a 4 out of 10. This show might actually be able to get a 4 out of 10. But because they put the Halo title on it, I have to give this show a 0 out of 10. What is this? Seriously, what is this? We spend half on the UNSC and their political foolishness that I don't care about, right? I thought I cared about the insurrectionists because I always found that in the comics that was a very interesting dynamic, but it's executed poorly, so I don't care about the insurrectionists. I don't care about the UNSC politics. Even the Covenant, because of that, that woman, that emo goth teenage buzzcut little girl they have there, I don't want to see that because that just makes me cringe when I see it on screen. So we've come to, and then don't even get me started on Kwan-Ah. I really just kill her off. I can't stand her character. It's like they're forcing her in here. We don't need her. Like, listen to me. I promise it is okay to have a Halo story with Master Chief as the sole main character, and then you have supporting characters around him. You do not need this second protagonist with Kwan-Ah. You don't need to you don't need to have this woman here. It is okay to just have it focus on Master Chief. You don't need this little girl and her story and all this emotional. No, and for God's sake, put his helmet back on. It's not Halo if you have Master Chief without. There's no Master Chief. When have you ever seen Master Chief spaz out like what he did? This is Batman. This is exactly what this is. This is Batman. Master Chief had his helmet off for an entire episode. If the series wasn't dead from the last episode, this episode definitely killed it. What are we doing here? Did they not get the memo that you're not supposed to take Chief's helmet off, or at the very least do it sparingly? The voice is terrible, by the way. The voice is absolutely awful. Terrible voice. Honestly, as trash as this series is, if we could have just had Steve Downes voicing it, it would at least been like a 2 out of 10 just to have Master Chief with actual voice in it. Here's the thing. I knew the story was going to be trash when I see that they were pushing all the diversity BS and all of this, woman-centric foolishness. I knew it was going to be BS, right? When especially in the first episode, when like 95% of the main characters women, they were race switching everyone. I knew it was going to be trash because they were pushing agendas and they were taking off helmets and they said, F the source material. We're not going to respect the law. We don't play the video games. I knew the story was going to be hot garbage. I knew it. They were defiant about it too. I knew it was going to be hot garbage. But I said they got like $100 million budget, I think it was. As long as the fight scenes are cool, it'll at least be a 3 out of 10, right? We didn't even get no fight in this episode. And last episode, the fight we got was trash. Let's call it what it was. It was very lackluster. It just looked extremely low budget. It looked like some 2005 foolishness. Like, it was really bad. So we're not getting any cool fighting scenes. Also, the plot is absolutely stupid. Like, John, aka Master Chief, is your best soldier, your best weapon, the hope of humanity, the pinnacle of humanity, the symbol of humanity and its hope. And all it took was for one miscommunication on the ship in the first episode for you guys to label him as rogue and that he needs to be captured or taken out, and they brought the entire fleet for him that first episode just to take him out. That's all it took to label him a traitor. Like the Master Chief from the games, he's very matter of fact, right? He knows what he wants to do. He knows his purpose and he does it. This Master Chief is like stupid. He's clueless. He's helpless. Like all the time he's walking around, he's unsure of himself. I'm like, what is this? There is absolutely nothing about this character that we have that screams badass. There is nothing about this character we have that is cool. And even though I like the scene in the very beginning where he helped the guy, let's call a spade a spade. He was pretty much being an asshole in the very beginning. Like, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to get what? So let me get this straight. A girl who you just met in Quan Ah, you was willing to be labeled a traitor to save her life. But your homeboy, who you break bread with, who you spill blood with, you was willing to only give him 5 minutes? Really? The writing in this show is absolutely dog feces, straight up poop water. Like, this is terrible. What is this? They've ruined every character. There is not one likable character in this show, not one. And the black guy, who's Master Chief's former Spartan friend, who he let go, he is the best character, but even then I still don't like him. It's still kind of cringe and forced with him, in my opinion. So there are 0 likable characters in this show. Now I will say the best actor out of all of them is Halsey. She's doing the best she can with her terrible lines and the terrible script. They did a decent job with her, but everyone else is just bad. It's just really bad. At this point, nothing can save this show. They decided to go with the interpersonal relationships between humans as the main plot, but the problem with that is that's never been what Halo is about. The essence and core of Halo is humans versus the different alien factions and their galactic struggle for survival. That is what Halo has been about. You making it about the insurrectionists and their personal relationships, and then the UNSC politics. This is what we don't want to see. They literally are giving us the least interesting part of Halo, the part that no one wants, and the part that people care about the least. And they're making an entire series about it. Instead of giving everyone what they wanted, humans versus aliens, Spartans and soldiers gearing up for war. We're going on Quan Ah's emotional roller coaster. We're dealing with UNSC and Paragowski, or whatever her name was, and her battle for power and pull in the UNSC with Halsey. They didn't respect the IP, which is clear. They said they didn't play the game, so I don't know why anyone's surprised that it's this bad, but it's comical how bad it is. What was up with that insurrectionist guy who's they portraying to be a villain now? That corny, lame, cheesy guy who was just shooting people, the quote-unquote bad guy, the person who's supposed to be antagonist. Really, that's who we're going to cast, and that's who's going to be an antagonist in the Halo series. Not the Arbiter, not some Zealot class elite. No. We're gonna have this corny, cheesy villain straight out of a DC comic. Come on. And then with that crackhead who Master Chief went to for some answers about the relic. That was acting was so bad it was comical. Like, what was up with that? Why does that scene even exist? It just is honestly, this isn't Halo. I don't know how many. I know I'm rambling. I know I'm repeating myself, but I have to stress the point. This isn't Halo. Like, none of this is Halo whatsoever. What about this is Halo? You at the very least, it was supposed to be Master Chief, right? They're supposed to be Master Chief, and that'll be Halo. But he doesn't even keep his helmet on. He doesn't even keep his armor on. So what about this is Halo exactly? Just a regular sci-fi. And the thing is, even if you took Halo off this title, it would still be bad. That's the funny thing. Like, the writing is bad. The writing is deplorable for a Halo film, but it's still absolutely dreadful for a regular TV show, even if it was a Halo. So yeah, all in all, it's going to get worse, but I'm covering it on my channel, so I have no choice but to suffer through the first season. They're talking about it's already been renewed for season 2. Yeah, okay. Yeah, alright. If these 2 episodes are any indication of what's to come, no, buddy. You need to wrap this up, dead this now, and just release a movie. No, you know what? No. Don't release any more Halo films. Just stop. Just don't release any more Halo films. I can't take the heartache anymore. So yeah, comment down below what you guys think, and I'm out. Peace.